And welcome back. Well, have you ever thought about being on the Orange County Grand Jury? Well, there's an opportunity coming up for you. And I'd like to welcome two current members of the OC Grand Jury. First of all, the foreperson, Birgit Sale. Nice to meet you. Great to have you here today.
Good morning.
And then we have a member of the jury as well, Larry Gephardt. Larry, good to see you.
Great to be here.
And this is such an important job, but people really don't understand the grand jury. And I think that's what we want to talk about first. Before we get into how somebody can become a member, let's talk about what the grand jury is and what it isn't. So who would like to handle that first?
Well, I'll start, and Larry can add into it. Basically, the grand jury is actually a creature of the California statute, and it's been around since the forming of California.
Okay.
And it has been, every county has a grand jury, but here in Orange County we have both a civil and a criminal part to be played.
All right.
So the civil part of it is that we are charged with, number one, investigating the organization and the records and accounts of local government.
Okay.
And we absolutely must every year also do a report on our current jails. And as far as the criminal part of it is, we do criminal indictments. So in other words, the district attorney brings a case, many cases actually, to us where we determine whether there's enough probable cause to move the case forward and charge that defendant with a crime and then set it for trial. So we never actually adjudicate or find guilt or innocence in a criminal matter. All we do is find there's enough probable cause. And then the other part of it that we do, we also answer and respond to and possibly investigate complaints from citizens of Orange County. So if citizens have some information about one of our departments or one of the Orange County agencies that they would like the grand jury to look at, that's something else we do. So the citizens have the right to bring a complaint directly to the grand jury as well.
All right, Larry, how does the district attorney determine what should be brought forth to the grand jury? Because not every crime is brought, or alleged crime, or defendant, or allegations is brought to the grand jury. That would,
I believe, Ken, that the district attorney, in an expeditious way, where there's been continuances in cases, high-profile cases, to sort of bring an abrupt ending to them, brings the indictment to the grand jury, and accelerates the process. If probable cause is brought by the grand jury, then it would go to jury trial or a plea.
Okay. So does that mean you only oversee or recommend cases that involved local and county government, or it can be any kind of crime or alleged crime?
I believe it would be county or cities in Orange County crime.
Okay.
And these would be criminal only, not civil as in the Pettit Court.
Okay. So Birgit, this would be, you know, not to get any specifics, but over the last year, of course, there's been looked into this jail system.
Correct.
That is something where you folks would be involved in.
Well, we do have the obligation to at least inspect the jails, which we have actually done with tours. Okay. And that's one of the really cool things about being on the grand jury. You actually get to do tours of any of the agencies here in the county of Orange. And so we've done the prisons, we've done the water districts, we've done the crime lab, we've done the coroner's office. I mean, we have actually done 22 tours. And one of the sort of really interesting one that we ended up doing is an overnight trip that we did to see the Colorado aqueduct. And so that was an overnight trip, actually, and we learned all about how water comes here to Orange County, especially South County, which is reliant on water being brought in. So it's a very, very interesting process.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't talk about any specifics that we're actually looking into, but that's how we start. We start by learning about the county and going on tours. And also, we've had 33 different sessions where we've had the heads of any of our agencies. We've had Board of Supervisors come and talk to us actually in the grand jury room, and of course they can be very candid because they don't, nobody's allowed to talk about what was said. So that neither they nor we get to talk about it, so they can be very, very candid. So you really do learn a lot in kind of the behind the scenes government that we have.
So Larry, I would think you go on some of these tours like the aqueduct system.
Yes.
In case something comes up or something is pending that may deal with a water district or whatever it might be.
Ken, I think the meet and greets that we have where we meet people, the leaders of government, and the tours that we go on are basically for our learning about county government. And the tours are basically, you know, adventures. Again, not being on the grand jury, you would never have the opportunity to see the inner workings of, say, the John Wayne Airport, the, you know, again, as Birgit said, the whole aqueduct system and how we import the water we need and depend on, and how we assure ourselves of the rationing. And all of this, you know, this all is part of the journey. And the journey is exciting and fascinating and something that you would never think of or never experience in your life. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And
let's talk about that opportunity. First, how many grand jurors are there at any
We
one
have
time?
19.
Okay.
And we are, and what's really interesting about being on the grand jury, nobody tells you how to do anything, because we don't report to the courts. We do not report to county government. We really are an independent body. And so we basically form our committees. We have committees on cities, county government, health and human services, environment and transportation, criminal justice, and I'm missing one. Oh, environment and transportation.
Yes, and special issues and ethics.
Yes, exactly. And so we form into committees, and then of course we have a promotion committee, which is part of sort of what we're doing here today. And then we also have an editing committee. So 19 people, but we all come into different parts, and then you can have those committees do the investigation, and they will be participating in doing the report at the end of the term.
And Larry, what's the commitment?
The commitment is 1 year.
Okay.
An important point to dovetail on Birgit's comment on the 19 jurors. The jurors we have on the panel, we have at least one from each of the 5 supervisoral districts in the county. There are 5 districts. There's at least one representative of each of those districts. The commitment, to answer your question, is 1 year. We typically work 25 to 30 hours a week, 5 days a week.
Okay, in Santa Ana?
At the Civic Center. We get a small stipend, $50 a day. We get an automobile gas allowance, which is based on a formula, government formula of so much per mile. And I would say that's pretty much what the commitment is.
And when does it start, this current, I guess I should say the 2019?
It always starts on July 1st and goes to June 30th.
But it takes, I understand, the reason you're here now is it takes quite a deal of background checks and things. That's why if people want to do this, in fact, we, you know, it's coming up now by January 18th to apply, because I know just from the past, there's a lot of steps involved, am I right?
Yes, absolutely. It starts with the application process, and the beauty of the website, which is right there, ocgrandjury.org, people can actually go online and actually apply online if they choose. They can also contact the court system at that phone number right there and have one mailed or you know, help in getting it filled out. And then once they're all filled out, then of course you start the whole process. There is a background investigation that has to be done. There is also interviews with judges, you know, as a part of the whole thing. But the most interesting part of it is that 30 grand jurors are chosen as qualified. Okay. And then in, I guess it was in June, Larry, there's actually, in the big courtroom, you actually have like a bingo lottery kind of a drum, and everybody's names gets put in there. And then each name is pulled out. And then when you get to 19, those are the grand jurors.
Okay, so the
And
final
then-
30, it becomes the luck of the draw. then.
Exactly,
Okay.
which makes it really interesting because to Larry's point, at the 30 are really comprised of equal numbers from each of the 5 supervisorial districts. But by the luck of the draw, it changes slightly.
So we have the qualifications, some of them that are we have on the screen here. And is there any qualification as far as do you need to have a college degree, a PhD, anything like that? I'm looking here. It's just basically, I guess you have to have a high school education, right?
I think the main thing is that you can converse and
Yeah.
understand the English language. That's
Yeah.
probably the most important part, because the idea is this is really sort of a citizen watchdog organization. So there are no specific qualifications for educational levels or anything of that type.
And
Yeah.
Ken, during this investigation process, it's important that when the applications are received by the court and they're first vetted to reduce the number to hopefully around 90, then that number is reduced from 90 down to the 30, as Birgit said, for the reason of deciphering people and their education and their
Yeah,
background, their
you get a good
communication
diverse
skills.
background,
It's also important and I learned this through this experience, that the reason we have the drawing is so that there is no person that sneaks through the investigation process with an agenda.
Ah,
Okay?
got
so
it,
there's
yeah.
real objectivity here.
Yeah.
Because it is a lottery pick. So that's
Interesting.
really important, and that selection process is really tantamount
Yeah.
to what our charge is.
Very interesting. So again, people have till the 18th of this month.
Correct?
Very easy to get information. If you forget the phone number, ocgrandjury.org, and from there you'll see links to how to become a member. You can also get information on what the grand jury is about, a little bit more in depth and what it does. And as far as the commitment is involved, I've had several people on in the past every year, and they all say just what a wonderful and unique experience it is. If you get down to the 30 and you're not picked, do you have to reapply, or are you given a little bit more consideration the next year? How does that work?
Well, if you're not, well, first of all, assuming nobody leaves in the night, during
Yes,
the term,
right.
then of course you still have your intact 19. However, if somebody leaves and it goes to number 20, gets called to see
Okay.
if that person will come in. The people that are left behind, so to speak, that are really the alternates, they would have to apply again for the
Okay.
next year. However, because they can immediately apply for the following year. Whereas once Larry and I have finished our term here, we would have to wait a whole year before
Okay.
we could ever apply again.
Okay.
So, but those people, those 11 people that are alternates, yes, they absolutely do have to apply, and there's no guarantee that just
Right.
because they qualified this time that they would necessarily be on next year.
Okay, so it's a new
New
jury
process.
every year.
Correct.
But to add on that, you can also, again, with a year separation, we have 3 people on our current panel that have been grand jurors previously. So you can do it as many times as you want, as long as you go through that same process.
Yeah.
And of course, with the experience, there's a good chance that you would be one of the 30
Right.
if you did it
right.
a second time or a third time or a fourth time.
All right, very good. A pleasure to have you both on. And it's just fascinating every year I get to hear about this, and what a wonderful opportunity. If you would like to seek this out and find out more information, again, go to ocgrandjury.org. You get all the information there, and you have till the 18th. You can do your application online, so go ahead, and I think that would be one of the best ways that you can get it out there very quickly. But what a rewarding experience. Great
Absolutely.
to have you on.
All right. Well, thank you
Nice to
so
meet you.
much for
Glad to
having
be here,
us.
Ken.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Oh, we'll get you
Yes,
unhooked in just a
I know.
minute. We'll be right back.